Welcome to the Girl at a Bar podcast. I'm Tracy Mulholland. My guests went out to a bar alone, had to stay for 90 minutes minimum, and couldn't look at their phone. We talk about their night and how they can use this experience to get out of their comfort zone in other ways. Okay. You're wearing my favorite color. Was that an honor?
I did it on purpose. I did. I almost put on like a yellow floral dress, but it was feeling very springy and it's feeling very fall-y outside.
It is. And there's something yellow in the background as well. What is that?
This is my lamp, but it doesn't work. I saw it on like Instagram through some design blog I follow, and I fell in love with it. And then I ordered it and realized it came from like Sweden or Switzerland or somewhere. So it has a plug, a different kind of plug. And then I bought a plug adapter, and then that didn't work. So it's more like a piece of art than it is an actual functioning lamp.
I'm talking to Jill, who is my best friend in life and since college. And very excited to have her on the podcast. And she's involved with Girl at a Bar from the First Draft Bar, which was in the show. There's a fun little scene in Girl at a Bar at First Draft LA. But obviously you're part of this because we're friends too. So.
Well, I'm a longtime Girl at a Bar blog reader from its very, very first origins. And if you remember, I got you that piece of art that says, what was it? Go blog yourself or something like that.
Yes.
It was yellow too.
It is yellow. Where is that?
I don't know. This is many moons ago. I won't put a year on it, but
it's okay. It's on the internet, the year.
I'm an OG reader of the blog when it was a literal blog, and now it's become so many things.
It has. It was a blog. It started in 2010, so that was quite many a moon ago.
Yes.
And I think it said, don't blog me.
I think it was don't blog me too.
Because back in the day, everybody was blogging about everybody, and you didn't necessarily want to be blogged.
Well, a blog felt like it was a more distinct thing back then, I think, because it wasn't that many years. It was 14, but obviously TikTok didn't exist. And I think the YouTube did exist, but it still felt like blogs were a distinctive art form that I think has evolved to exist in video form now, or in Substacks or in newsletters or things like that. So it felt very fresh at the time.
Yeah, and now it's sort of more retro.
Just like us. Just like me.
Just like us. I should put it in the background here. That would be kind of cool.
I know. I'll look and see if I can find you another one. I'll see what I can do.
It's okay. So you probably helped edit those blogs as well because you're a writer, editor type person, and I probably sent it to you and you gave me really good notes. I'm guessing.
Well, you're welcome. You've taken it and run with it. You flew. You took it to the next level.
Thanks, Jill. Okay, so tell me about where you went. You were on a business trip. And so it kind of coincided and worked out that way. So tell me all about your Girl at a Bar night.
I travel for work every few months, either to New York or Seattle. I happen to be in Seattle for this one. And I often fly in at times where I try and get in not too late when I travel for work. So I probably got in around 3:00, which is too late to go into the office and kind of too late to meet up with other coworkers. And so decided to go and grab dinner and a drink for myself. I went to Deadline, which is in Seattle, near Pioneer Square. And I'd actually been there once before for our company or our team holiday party. So I was familiar with it, and they have really cool specialty cocktail drinks. My favorite thing when I go out to places, I don't like to just order something that is sort of standard, like an old fashioned or a margarita. I mean, I like both of those drinks, but I really like when bars have their specialty fancy cocktail. I'm trying to remember what drink I ordered. I'm sure it had tequila in it
because that's your fave.
And I got arepas, which I really like also. So it's basically kind of a treat yourself situation when I travel. And so sat at the bar and sat down next to a gentleman who started talking to me. He was probably maybe 10 years older than me. He was in town on business as well. I think he worked in, I don't have a good memory. So he worked in education, but like educational consulting. And so we just kind of started chatting. And it was a perfectly fine conversation. I don't know. It was nothing too crazy. He had kids who were older than mine. My kids are 8 and 11.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he had kids more like in their 20s. So we kind of talked about how my kids love sports, and he talked about going to games with his kids, and sort of remembering those times. And then we talked about professional sports because I generally like them and I'm a fan.
Did he give you any insight into the years that are ahead for you with child rearing?
Not exactly that I remember. I think he was talking. I think generally it was about like having fond memories of that time in his life, and I think that's always nice to hear, because sometimes when you're in the thick of child rearing and busy times, like at any sort of phase, whether you're in the toddler phase or we're in the elementary school phase, it can feel hard when you're in the thick of it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Your kids have all their own personalities and their own needs, and you're driving them to soccer 4 days a week like
Yeah,
me,
you
and
are.
you just kind of can feel like you're like, there's a lot going on here. And so it was nice to have him just sort of reminisce about that time in his life, and remember that I'll miss it too, the same way that I miss like them being toddlers and them being little. Like, you do look back fondly on the stuff that feels hard at the time.
Yeah. So how did you start talking? Do you remember that moment?
I won't lie to you, Tracy, I do not. I'm positive he started talking to me only because I wouldn't have wanted to talk to him, which is like nothing against him. But I think, when I travel, like we were just talking about, you're in the thick of kid rearing. And so traveling is often like the only time I get to myself, like truly, truly by myself. So a lot of times when I travel, it's just a little bit of an opportunity to, you're busy with the work stuff, but sometimes it's an opportunity just to like just be with yourself. And
Yeah.
read what you're reading on your phone, which I know is anti-girl at a bar, but against the rules. But generally, like, that is what I would do in that circumstance. Like, if somebody doesn't start talking to me, I'm 99% sure he would have initiated the conversation.
Because you weren't necessarily planning on having this be your girl at a night, bar to bar night, but it ended up
No, I
being
was
as
not.
such.
I was not. And then you've been telling me about it, and you've been telling me about the podcast, and sort of inviting friends to have, their version of an experience, a girl at a bar experience. And so I sort of stumbled upon this one where I just kept chatting with him. I mean, it was a nice enough conversation. So it wasn't like I was going to tell him that we needed to stop talking or anything. And then I called you right after as I was walking back to my hotel, and I said, "Hey, I think I did this."
I think. Does it count? Yes.
Does it count?
You actually joined me, I don't know if you remember this, back when I was doing the blog on one of my nights at the end of the night. I was at La
Right.
Descarga in LA,
I
and
can't remember what happened last week, so I don't remember this. What did we do? Oh, maybe
I
I
think
do remember.
I think
Did we
I
take a
ran into
picture?
someone that I knew, and I felt like I wanted some emotional backup, perhaps,
Okay.
and I think I called you, and after the 90 minutes were up, you came and you met me, and we just hung out for a little bit, and it felt like a hug, like an emotional hug, because I had just run into some people or someone that I had dated or something, and I just wanted my best friend, but against the rules until 90 minutes in.
Until the time was up. That is such a nice memory. It makes me wish we lived in the same place still. It's been a long time since we lived in the same town, and
I
like just
know, it totally
the
bums me
ability
out.
to do that with friends is now I'm sad, Tracy.
Well, let's turn it
Um,
around, we can do it. You got to have a really nice visit recently, and you came here, and we went to Universal Studios, saw Harry Potter World, very exciting.
we did. So I stumbled into a girl bar, but like a good friend called you to tell you that I had done it, that I had achieved girl at a bar nest.
So this alone time, do you have that in other aspects of your life, or is it only when you're traveling, when you get to have this respite to do things on your own?
Well, I think that's what's an interesting question because I was thinking about this, like why, because I think the premise of Girl at a Bar obviously was to put yourself out there and to try something new and to, see what experiences, relationships, like, and, using relationships very loosely here, just like what
Mhm.
sort of connection you
Yeah.
might make with someone that you wouldn't have otherwise expected. And it's like always been such a lovely premise and always been something that I was like, that's great for Tracy. And I just like would not want to put myself, I just wouldn't, I wasn't like drawn to it emotionally in the same way that like you are versus for me, I was like, ugh, I don't want to do this. So I was
Mhm.
thinking about that in this kind of context and thinking about my experience and thinking about why I wouldn't have initiated sort of conversation. I do think the time when you're truly on your own, not beholden to either your job, I work a full time job, or to your
Mhm.
spouse, I have a full time spouse,
A
or
full-time spouse.
or to one of your children or both, is at this point in my life, like that time is precious and it doesn't
Mhm.
happen all that often, which is probably why I like to stay up late. I know there's like revenge procrastination and all that, but like that sometimes can be the only time, or you grab snippets here and there. But I do think that when I am traveling, that is some of the most dedicated bits of solo time. Like even when you go out with coworkers or you go, do a work dinner, or you are at the office all day, like there's like a couple of hours when you get back to your hotel room where you're like, oh, it's just me. Like
Me time.
I don't have to do anything or get anybody snacks or clean the kitchen or like clean my own messy room. I don't have to do anything except what I want to do. And so like that time becomes precious, I think, because it isn't as common at this point in my life.
Yeah. So taking that less common time, and then I tasked you with something you didn't necessarily want to do in that precious time.
That's okay. But yes, you did. Made me do a thing I didn't want to do, which is fine. There's value in that. But it did get me thinking about why I could imagine this as like a fun and fulfilling experience, either at a different point in my life or for someone else. My values in terms of socialization, in terms of like strangers too, like, which is not to say like stranger danger, but it was somebody that I wasn't going to see again. It was somebody that like I hadn't actively wanted to seek out. It's one thing to sort of meet a stranger because you're connecting over a work
Mhm.
thing or you're networking or you have something in common. This was truly just like you're a rando and like we're gonna have a nice conversation, but no, I guess there was the potential of lasting.
Mhm.
There could have been the potential of like a lasting relationship, but also it was just sort of a random conversation.
The outcome isn't necessarily something with your career or a lifelong friendship, and I struggled with that a bit when I did the blog too, like, what is the point of a conversation for an hour or hour and a
Mhm.
half, and what do I get out of it? Does it need to be this grandiose story? Does something crazy need to happen? Do I need to have a friendship? Does it need to help my career? And I had this really profound conversation with a bartender at the time and about why he liked just being a bartender. And he was talking about just stories. He just liked to hear about people's lives. And I know a lot of people connect with stories, also television and books. And I never really thought about it that way, as this just could be an insight into someone else's story. And then what can I take from that? But that was halfway through my year-long journey, and I think I always felt like there had to be an outcome, and that was the first time where it was like just being a part of someone's life maybe for an hour is it. That's it.
Well, it is interesting. I do like that. And I'm a person who loves stories and loves within stories sort of to revel in the minutia, like those moments that are not part within writing or within storytelling or within television, any of those mediums, like I do like the minutia of like quiet moments. That like not everything has to be like the big, part of the plot. That sometimes like a little bit of a side quest can be interesting. So it's interesting because I do value that in creative work. So it's interesting to hear about it like within the context of or just real life, like that we're all kind of weaving our narratives. Maybe it doesn't have to be part of the plot. Like it's just, like I said, it's a side quest for a little bit of time. That random character that you meet that is like semi interesting, but you don't hear from again or anything like that. Like, and that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, how does the side quest benefit the main quest? Or does it?
And that's what you're saying in terms of like with this whole idea of girl at a bar and putting yourself out there. To you, that was, I think, how you thought about the side quest benefiting the main quest or, the hero's journey, is that it was about trying new things. It was specifically about putting yourself out there and like being willing to have whatever time you had. And maybe something cool was going to come from it, but maybe something wasn't.
Even though that was the impetus or that was what I was getting out of it, I would say maybe every third night I'd be like, "Why am I doing this again? Like, what is the point of this?" And after
What
having done
was
it,
the point of it now with all this hindsight?
I think a mix of all of the things. I've probably talked about this before, but the impetus I think was feeling reliant on other people to do the things I wanted to do. So if people bailed, then I wouldn't go to that concert or something. And then just forcing myself out of my comfort zone because I wanted to do the thing. And I felt like this was an exercise of something that was available to me to try to get myself out. And after doing it again, after being sick, I think then, which this show, the series is based off of, was to figure out who I was out on the town outside of my apartment and
Mm-hmm.
how to interact with the world in a way after being ill and inside for so long, which I think people can relate to now with COVID, which has been a little interesting because we've all had experience staying inside a bit and then figuring out what do you want to do outside again, and how are you different in that space now than you were before. So I think those are probably the two reasons. And also I just like talking to people.
I
So I
know
think
you do.
I know
You're a lover of people, which is not to say that I hate people, but probably don't have that same like love love of people. I love my people,
Oh,
but I
you
don't love
totally
all
do.
people.
Yes, you have great love. Let's not get that wrong. You have great love for people.
No, exactly. But it's more depth versus breadth, probably for me. But I have always loved that you love people and that you find joy in people. But I think going back to what you're saying, do think it's really interesting to do the same exercise, generally speaking, like twice at really different points in your life. I wonder if there was more opportunities to do that just in general. You know what I mean? It's like
Mm.
we go through really specific things at certain points in our lives. And then we maybe don't ever do it again. Whereas, like, I'm trying to think of an example, but something
I
where
was
you
just
like,
gonna ask, what is a good an example? If we could think of maybe something that even you and I did together or you did separately in your college years, went to school together, or your early 20s, that could be an
well,
exercise to repeat.
I think about this. So you are obviously still acting and performing. We were both theater majors. Like I tried my hat at that for a time and then decided I was going to move on.
Mhm.
Um, but sometimes I think about that now. Like, what if I were to, and this is because my mom now does like a church play. My mom likes acting too, and so she now every year does the church play,
Oh.
and she loves it. It's like she didn't act for like decades, and now she is sort of like reviving this part of her that like didn't really have a place during the childbearing years and like after, but now she gets to
Mm.
enjoy it. And so I've thought about it, it's like I have no urge to act again right this second, but like what if at some point I decided like, oh, I want to go audition for a play, or oh, I want to go audition for an improv troupe again. That sounds absolutely horrible, but I wonder what I would feel like doing it again without the pressure of having to succeed. It's like
Mm-hmm.
just
The
doing it
art.
for the sake of doing it and like
Mm.
having a good time with it. Because I was always so nervous, and that was always what was hard for me. Was like I was like a bad auditioner. I would be so nervous. I really like made everything feel like it was like make or break, that I had to book it. Otherwise, like I was never going to succeed, which is like the worst recipe for being a working actor in the world. And I pretty quickly realized like I wasn't going to survive. But what if I just like was having fun and it didn't matter and all of that? I guess would be a potential example of like coming back to something when you're in a totally different headspace, either positive or negative, but like trying something again and experiencing it totally differently is, I
I
think,
think
an
that's a
interesting.
great example. And I
Mhm.
totally relate to that too, because there's a pressure around succeeding or having what you did, the play or the short film or the whatever, to help you to the next step as your career. And what would it look like to just do the thing and have that expectation not be there? Do you
Yeah,
think you could see yourself doing that soonish, or do you think this is more like a 70s, 80s Jill?
I don't know, man. I genuinely don't have the urge now. It A, wouldn't fit in my life, like, and B, I don't really have the urge, but I can kind of imagine. My son's in fifth grade this year, and they do a fifth grade play, fifth grade musical. So he will be in the fifth grade musical. I signed up to help out with it. And I'm like, oh, I did love being backstage. Like, I love the atmosphere of putting on a show. Like, that was such a huge part of my life for like
Yeah,
15 years,
long
20
time.
years. I could imagine the muscle memory would come back, like enjoying being in that environment. And I like being around those people, so it's like, while I might not have like the urge to act right now, like I like being around people who are creating things. Like,
Theater
yeah,
kids.
I like being around theater. I understand theater kids. Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know,
Okay, so
um,
we'll keep out a lookout for at what point you start feeling the urge to do that. Okay, so is there anything from this experience or just the Girl at a Bar essence, knowing me, knowing the story, that you want to apply to your current life in a small or bigger way or no way at all? Won't be offended.
I think what you said during this, when you were talking about wanting to do the thing, even if you didn't have anyone to do it with. I often like to have a buddy to do stuff with, or, think about
Mhm.
starting a hobby. And then I'm like, well, am I going to go do it by myself? I would prefer if my sister did it with me, or my sister in law, who are both here in Denver, would love to
Yeah.
have a buddy to go to this like pottery class with, but not letting that be something that stops me, like actually just taking the time. And I think that's what's maybe the takeaway too, is like I carve out the time when I travel, or like I'm forced to have time when I travel. I
Mhm.
could just as alone time, but I could just as easily carve out that time for myself via hobbies. I'm bad at making time for myself.
When I visited you a while ago, I think you were gonna look up a dance class or maybe it was a pottery or
I
something.
took a tap class for a little bit
Hooray!
of time, but then it's like so hard at night. I need to find something that just makes sense. I'm considering tennis now, but we'll see.
Okay. All right. TBD. All right. Well, I like that. I'm looking forward to hearing what small thing you can add into your life that you just do on your own. And so I ask everybody what they do after a night out. And so you mentioned if you're alone, you don't have to clean the house, you don't have to deal with anything with the kids. And some maybe revenge procrastination. What's your favorite type of revenge procrastination?
Oh, I like binging my shows that I'm into.
Mhm.
Sometimes my husband and I agree on shows. There's a lot we agree on, but sometimes like I'm really into something and he's not. So we were just talking about how I've been binging the show 911
911,
and
our
catching up on
fave.
it a couple weeks ago. I like stayed up and watched 4 episodes, and I was extremely happy with that decision because it was like just my time doing a thing that I liked. So that's probably what I do.
I am so happy that you're watching 911 and we're both caught up because now we can talk about it in real time. I'm very excited about this.
I'm excited. Let's talk on Friday after this week's episode. Let's just
I
start a
just
911 podcast, actually. They're
We
probably
should
already listening.
totally.
Let's start a new podcast about what we want to happen, who we want to make out, all that stuff.
Yes. Okay, good. Anything else you want to say before we sign off?
No, just that I'm proud of you for everything you've done with Girl at a Bar and how you've evolved it and found meaning in it throughout various stages of your life.
Thanks, Jill. I am
Mm.
proud to call you a friend. Thank you for heart. We're making a heart for everyone just listening and not watching. And I'm excited to have more adventures together as a buddy in the future. But also I'm excited to hear about your buddy-less adventures on your own.
I'll do my best.
Okay. That was really hard to get those words out for some reason for me. All right. Thanks, Jill. Thanks for joining us for this episode. Be sure to subscribe to the Girl at a Bar channel on YouTube to see video episodes of the podcast and watch the Girl at a Bar scripted series. Thanks to Andrew Hollander for producing the song, Something I Can't Rearrange. You can check out the full version on all music platforms. Please visit girlatabar.com and bayarealyme.org for resources on Lyme disease.